Ayon kay Bill Gates, ang teknolohiya ay isang kagamitan lamang sa usaping tungkol sa mga bata upang mabigyan sila ng inspirasyon at encouragement. Mahalaga pa rin ang katauhan ng isang guro. Isang magandang araw po sa ating lahat. Ito si Teacher Ver, ang inyong makakasama upang talakayin natin ang tungkol sa K-12 at ang grading system nito. Alam ba natin na simula ng taong 2012 hanggang 2013, ang education system ng Pilipinas ay mas lalong pinahusay mula sa 10 taong basic education ay nagiging 12-year program na tinatawag nating K-12 Education Program. Ang K-12 Basic Education Curriculum Program ay pinagsamang curriculum enhancement tulad ng Early Childhood Education and Specialized Upper Secondary Education. Sa taong panuruang 2015 hanggang 2016, ang Departamento ng Edukasyon ay sumunod sa isang bagong competency-based grading system para sa K-12 program. Ito ay gumagamit ng iilan lamang na mga system components at ang bagong new transmutation table. Ang K-12 program ay gumagamit ng standard and competency-based grading system sa lahat ng grado na nakabase sa weighted raw score of the learner's summative assessment. Ang layunin natin sa araw na ito ay nabibigyang kahulugan ang classroom assessment, maihahambing ang kaibahan ng formative at summative assessment, na iisa-isa ang components ng summative assessment at naipapakita ang proseso kung paano i-compute ang grades ng bawat learning areas. Ano ang classroom assessment? Ang classroom assessment ay ang patuloy na proseso in identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information tungkol sa kung ano ang alam at maaring gawin ng isang mag-aaral. Teacher should employ classroom assessment methods that are consistent with the curriculum standard. It is important for teachers to always inform learners about the objectives of the lesson so that the latter will aim to meet or even exceed the standards. The teachers provides immediate feedback to students about their learning progress. Classroom assessment also measures the achievements of competencies by the learners. May dalawang uri ng assessment. Ito ang formative assessment at ang summative assessment. Ano ang formative assessment? Ang formative assessment may be seen as assessment for learning so teachers can make adjustments in their instructions. It may be given at any time during the teaching and learning process. It is also a way to check the effectiveness of the instructions. Formative assessment involves teachers using evidence about what the learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. Teachers observe and guide learners in their task through interactions and dialogue, thus gaining deeper insights into the learner's progress, strengths, weaknesses, and needs. The results of formative assessments will help teachers make good instructional decisions so their lessons are better suited to the learner's abilities. It is important for teachers to record formative assessment by documenting and tracking learners' progress using a systematic ways that can easily provide insights into a student's learning. Such monitoring will allow teachers to understand their students and thus teach them better. Formative assessment results, however, are not included in the computation of the summative assessment. What is a summative assessment? Summative assessment, on the other hand, may be seen as assessment of learning, which occurs at the end of a particular unit. This form of assessment usually occurs toward the end of a period of learning in order to describe the standard reached by the learner. Summative assessment measures whether learners have met the content and performance standard. Teachers must use methods to measure students' learning that have been deliberately designed to assess how well students have learned and are able to apply their learning in different contexts. The results of summative assessments are recorded and used to report on the learner's achievements. Primarily, the results of summative assessments are reported to the learners and their parents or guardians. In addition, these are reported also to the principals or school head and teachers who will receive the child in the next grade level. It also reported to the guidance teachers who should help students cope with challenges they experience in school. What is assessed in the classroom? Content standard, performance standard, learning competencies, and concept development. How are learners assessed in the classroom? It could be individual and collaborative formative assessment. Formative assessment in different parts of the lesson. Ang formative assessment ay maaring gawin before the lesson, during the lesson proper, and after the lesson. What is the purpose of formative assessment before the lesson? For the learners, number 1, know what she or he knows about the topic or lesson. Number 2, understands the purpose of the lesson and how to do well in the lesson. And number 3, identify ideas or concepts she or he misunderstands. And number 4, identify barriers to learning. For the teachers, it is used to get information about what the learner already knows and can do about the new lesson. Number 2, share learning intentions and success criteria to the learners. Number 3, determine misconception. And number 4, identify what hinders learning. What are examples of assessment methods that can be used before the lesson? Number 1, we could use agree or disagree activities. Number 2, we could use games. Number 3, we could use interviews. Number 4, we could use inventories or checklist of skills relevant to the topic in the learning area. Number 5, we could use KWL activities. What I know, what I want to know, and what I learned. Number 6, we could use open-ended questions. And number 7, we could use practice exercises. What is the purpose of formative assessment during the lesson proper? For the learners, number 1, identify one's strengths and weaknesses. Number 2, identify barriers to learning. Number 3, identify factors that help him or her to learn. Number 4, know what she or he knows and does not know. And number 5, monitor his or her own progress. For the teachers, number 1, it provides immediate feedback to learners. Number 2, identify what hinders learning. Number 3, identify what facilitates learning. Number 4, identify learning gaps. Number 5, track learners' progress in comparison to formative assessment results prior to the lesson proper. And number 6, to make decision on whether to proceed with the new lesson, reteach, or provide for corrective measures or reinforcement. What are activities or methods that can be used during the lesson proper? Number 1, we could use multimedia presentation. Number 2, observations. Number 3, other performance tasks, simple activities that can be drawn from a specific topic or lesson. Number 4, quizzes, recorded but not graded. Number 5, recitations. And number 6, simulation activities. What is the purpose of formative assessment after the lesson? For the learners, it tells and recognizes whether she or he meet the learning objectives and success criteria. Number 2, it seeks support through remediation, enrichment, or other strategies. For the teachers, it is used to assess whether learning objectives have been met for a specified duration. Number 2, remediate and or enrich with appropriate strategies as needed. Number 3, evaluate whether learning intentions and success criteria have been met. What are examples of assessment methods that can be used after the lesson? Number 1, we could use checklist. Number 2, we could use discussion. Number 3, we could use games. Number 4, we could use performance tasks that emanate from the lesson objectives. Number 5, we could have practice exercises. Number 6, we could have short quizzes. And number 7, we could have a written work. What are the components of summative assessment? We have the written work components, we have the performance task components, and we also have the quarterly assessment. What is the purpose of the written works? Number 1, it assists learners' understanding of concepts and application of skills in a written form. Number 2, it prepares learners for quarterly assessment. Kailan natin ito ibinibigay? Binibigay natin ito at the end of the topic or unit. Number 2, performance task component. What is the purpose of giving the performance task? Number 1, it involves students in the learning process individually or in collaboration with teammates over a period of time. Number 2, it gives students opportunities to demonstrate and integrate their knowledge, understanding, and skills about the topics or lesson learned in a specific real-life situation by performing and or producing evidence of their learning. Number 3, it gives students the freedom to express their learning in appropriate and diverse ways. Number 4, it encourages students' inquiry, integrations of knowledge, understanding, and skills in various contexts beyond the assessment period. Kailan naman natin ito ibibigay? Maaari natin itong ibigay at the end of a lesson, focusing on a topic or skill lesson, it could also be given several times during the quarter. Quarterly assessment. What is the purpose of quarterly assessment? 1. To synthesize all the learning skills, concepts, and values learned in an entire quarter. Kailan naman natin binibigay ang quarterly assessment? Ito ay binibigay once at the end of the quarter. So isang beses lang siya binibigay sa isang quarter. I have here table number 4. Table number 4, weights of the components for grades 1 to 10. As we see in table number 4, mayroong magkakaibang percentage weights ang bawat learning areas. Like the written works of language, AP at ESP ay meron siyang 30%, science and math is 40%, and MAPI, EPP and TLE ay 20%. Now, let's try to compute the written works. Tingnan natin ang halimbawa sa table na ito. First, we have to get the total score for each component. Sa table na ito ay makikita natin na si Learner Tangog gets 82 points out of the 100 sa essay. In long quiz, he had 36 points out of the 50 possible score. And in the unit test, he had 78 out of the 100 possible score. The total raw score of Tangog is 196 out of 250 total score of the written works. Second, we have to divide the total raw score to the highest possible score, then multiply the quotient by 100. So, in our example, we will divide the total raw score of 196 points to the highest possible score, which is 250 points. So, 196 divided by 250 is equals to 784 thousandths. So, 784 thousandths times 100 is equals to 78.4%. So, the percentage score of Tangog for his written works is 78.4%. After getting the percentage score, we have to multiply it in the percentage of the written works to get the weighted score. The percentage score is 78.4 of 100%. Next, we have to multiply it to the percentage of the written works, which is 30%. So, we have 78.4 times 30 hundredths is equals to 23.52. So, the weighted score of Tangog is 23.52. That is how we compute the written works. Ngayon naman ay pag-aralan natin how we could compute the performance task. So first, we have to get the total raw score of each component. So tingnan natin ang halimbawa sa table na ito. So ang performance task number ay meron siyang 6. So ang highest possible score ng unang performance task is 15. Ang pangalawa ay 15 din, yung pangatlo ay 25, yung pang-apat ay 20, pang-lima ay 20 at ang pang-anim ay 25 na meron siyang total na 120. So, si Tangog ay nakakuha ng unang performance task niya ay nakakuha siya ng 12 out of 15. Sa pangalawa, nakakuha siya ng 13 out of 15. Sa pangatlo, nakakuha siya ng 19 out of 25. Sa panglima, nakakuha siya ng 16 out of 20 at ang pang-anim ay nakakuha siya ng 25 out of 25 at meron siyang total na 100. To get the total score for the performance task, kailangan nating pagsamasamahin ang lahat ng score mula sa performance task number 1 hanggang sa performance task number 6 at ang total ay 100. Pagkatapos nating makuha ang total score, ay maaari nating i-divide ang score ni Tangog sa highest possible score, which is 120. Then, multiply the quotient by 100. So, 100 divided by 120 is equals to 833,000. 833,000 times 100 is equals to 83.33. So, the percentage score is 83.33. To convert the percentage score to the weighted score, kailangan nating i-multiply ang percentage score by the weighted score, which is 50%. And the result will be the initial grade para sa performance task. So, 83.33 times 0.50 is equals to 41.66%. Kaya ang initial grade ni Tangog sa performance task ng English ay 41.66%. Ngayon ay natapos na nating makompute ang ating written works at ang ating performance task ng ating learner. Ngayon ay pag-usapan naman natin ang ating pag-compute ng ating quarterly assessment. Ang ating quarterly assessment ay sumusukat sa kaalaman ng ating mga mag-aaral pagkatapos ng isang quarter. At ang equivalent ng ating quarterly assessment ay 20%. So, let's try now to compute our quarterly assessment of our learner. Ang ating learner na si Tangog ay nakakuha ng 53 out of the 60 items in the periodical test or quarterly test. To get the periodical test grade, kailangan nating i-divide ang periodical test score by periodical test items. Tapos, makuha natin ang periodical test grade ay i-multiply natin ito sa 20% dahil ito ang equivalent ng quarterly test ng English. So, 53 divided by 60 is equals to 88.33. 88.33 times 20% or 0.20 equals to 17.66. So, ang quarterly assessment grade ni Tangog Virgilio ay 17.66%. Maaaring i-input ng guro ang pangalan ng mga mag-aaral, ang kanilang row score, at ang highest possible score para sa written works at performance tasks. Samantala, ang template na ito ay automatic na magko-compute ng percentage score at transmuted grade base sa transmutation table provided ng Deped Memorandum number 8 series of 2015. Ngayon ay i-transmute na natin ang lahat ng grades na ating na-compute. Pagsasama-samahin natin ang lahat ng weighted score sa bawat components. Katulad sa makikita natin sa ating screen. Ang written works ay 23.53. Ang performance task na na-compute natin ay 41.66. At ang quarterly assessment na na-compute natin ay 17.66%. At ang total ay 82.84%. The initial grade of the three components ay 82.84%. Pagkatapos nating makuha ang initial grade ng ating learner, titingnan natin sa ating transmutation table para sa K-12 grading system. Dito, makikita natin na ang transmuted grade para sa initial grade na 82.84 ay equivalent sa 88. Ito ang ating ilalagay sa ating report card. Ito ang paraan kung paano i-transmute ang ating initial grade na ating na-compute. Paano natin i-compute ang grades ng ating mga learner sa katapusan ng school year? To get the general average, we have to divide the sum of all the final grades sa lahat ng learning areas sa total number of learning areas in a grade level. Tingnan natin ang card na ito. Kung pagsama-samahin natin ang lahat ng final grades sa lahat ng learning areas na 85, 90, 83, 86, 91, 90, 81 at 85, ang total number ay 691. Pagkatapos ay i-divide natin ito sa total number ng learning area sa grade level na 8. Pagkatapos natin itong ma-divide ay makakuha tayo ng general average na 86. That's how we compute the final grade at the end of the school year. Paano naman ang isang learner ma-promote o ma-retain sa katapusan ng taong panuruan? Ang isang mag-aaral ay kailangan magkaroon ng final grade na 75% o mas mataas pa sa lahat ng learning areas upang ma-promote sa next level. Kapag ang isang learner ay hindi nakakakuha ng 75%, kailangan nilang mag-attend ng isang remedial class upang sila ay ma-promote sa susunod na level. Summative assessment are also given during remedial classes. These are recorded, computed, weighted, and transmuted in the same way as the quarterly grade. The equivalent of the final grade of remedial classes is the remedial class mark. The final grade at the end of the school year and the remedial class mark are averaged. This results to the recomputed final grade. If the recomputed final grade is 75 or higher, the student will be promoted to the next grade level. However, students will be retained in the grade level if their recomputed final grade is below 75. The recomputed final grade or RFC ay nakukuha sa pamamagitan ng pag-add ng final grade ng isang mag-aaral at ng kanyang remedial classwork. Halimbawa, si Jemima ay nagkaroon ng final grade na 73%. Siya ay papasok sa remedial class ng kanyang guro. Pagkatapos sa remediation, magkaroon din siya ng pagsusulit at magkaroon din siya ng grades. Kung ang remedial classwork niya ay nakakuha siya ng final grade na 85%, kailangan mo itong i-add sa kanyang final grade na 73%. So, 85 plus 73 is equals to 158. Pagkatapos, ay i-divide ito sa dalawa at ito ay magiging 79%. At ito ang tinatawag natin na recomputed final grades. Kaya, maaari na siyang ma-promote para sa next level. The teacher of a remedial class must issue a certificate of recomputed final grade as shown on the screen, which is noted by the school principal and be submitted to the division office. At kailangan din itong i-attach sa kanyang SF10 at sa school form number 5. How our core values of a Filipino child is reflected in the report card. Table number 12 shows descriptions and indicators of observed values. Core values, makadiyos. Behavior statements, expresses one's spiritual belief while respecting the spiritual beliefs of others. What are the indicators of these statements? Number 1, engages oneself in a worthwhile spiritual activities. Number 2, respects sacred places. Number 3, respect religious beliefs of others. Number 4, demonstrate curiosity and willingness to learn about other ways to express spiritual life. Behavior statements shows adherence to ethical principles by upholding the truth. What are the indicators of these statements? Number 1, tell the truth. Number 2, return borrowed things in good condition. Number 3, demonstrates intellectual honesty. Number 4, expects honesty from others. Number 5, aspires to be fair and kind to all. Number 6, identifies personal biases. And number 7, recognizes and respect of one's feelings and those of others. Makatao, behavioral statement, is sensitive to individual, social, and cultural differences. What are the indicators of this statement? Number 1, shows respect for all. Number 2, waits for one's turn. Number 3, takes good care of borrowed things. Number 4, views mistakes as learning opportunities. Number 5, upholds and respects the dignity and equality of all, including those with need. Number 6, volunteers to assist others in times of need. And number 7, recognizes and respects people from different economic, social, and cultural backgrounds. Behavioral statements demonstrates contribution toward solidarity. What are the indicators of these behavioral statements? Number 1, cooperates during activities. Number 2, recognizes and accepts the contribution of others toward a goal. Number 3, consider diverse views. Number 4, communicates respectfully. Number 5, accepts defeat and celebrates others' success. Number 6, enables others to succeed. And number 7, speak out against and prevents bullying. Makakalikasan, behavioral statement, cares for the environment and utilizes resources wisely, judiciously, and economically. What are the indicators of this behavioral statement? Number 1, shows a caring attitude toward the environment. Number 2, practices waste management. Number 3, conserves energy and resources. Number 4, take care of school materials, facilities, and equipment. Number 5, keep works area in order during and after work. And number 6, keeps one's work neat and orderly. Makabansa, behavioral statement, demonstrate pride in being a Filipino, exercises the rights and responsibilities of a Filipino citizen. What are the indicators of these behavioral statements? Number 1, identifies oneself as a Filipino. Number 2, respects the flag and national anthem. Number 3, takes pride in diverse Filipino cultural expression, practices, and traditions. Number 4, promotes the appreciation and enhancement of Filipino languages. Number 5, abides by the rules of the school, community, and country. And number 6, enables others to develop interest and pride in being a Filipino. Behavioral statement demonstrate appropriate behavior in carrying out activities in the school, community, and country. What are the indicators of this behavioral statement? Number 1, manages time and personal resources efficiently and effectively. Number 2, perseveres to achieve goals despite difficult circumstances. And number 3, conducts oneself appropriately in various situations. Marking for observed values. AO, always observed. SO, sometimes observed. RO, rarely observed. And NO, not observed. Learners who demonstrate behaviors that are not consistent with or do not reflect the core values may need additional psychosocial support from the school. The class advisor should discuss this observation with the parents or guardians to promote the child's effective development. Further, probing may be needed to better understand the learner's situation and context. Maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Muli, ito si Teacher Bear ang nagsasabing marami man ang ating ginagawa, kailangan palagi tayong mukhang bata. Kaya dapat happy lang!